What unit would you say has been the biggest surprise? The unit that's made the most gains throughout spring?
Well, I think yeah, it's a good question. I mean, in a funny way, I mean, you'd say almost quarterback has been kind of the biggest surprise, just because we had, two young guys. We didn't know what we were going to get with Ross. I mean, he still ought to be in high school right now, and then Chase is so young as well, and I've been, pleasantly surprised the way they've played. I felt like we were going to have depth on the defensive front. Just we had a lot of experience, and we were getting some guys back, off of injuries, and felt like that group had a chance to be a good, solid group. And I'll be really excited when we get everybody back. And get David Davis back healthy, and Todd Barr and Moose starts getting a lot of action again. So I've been pleased with that group. I think probably, you could say the group that's improved the most has either been the offensive line or the DBs. I think, you look at the DBs, and we still haven't gotten as settled as I would have liked at the safety position, but I feel like we've made some tremendous strides at corner. I feel like Darius White and Darius Allensworth both are different players than they were a year ago. I think Cedric Dozier's, realizes he's going to have to work really hard and compete to have a chance to get into the mix, and I think he's done that, and it's been good to see. So, what you want to have competition. Competition forces everybody to be better, and it makes those guys accountable. And so we've got that right now at the corner spot. We're looking forward to having more of it in the fall, and then I'm looking forward to getting all our safeties in here and being able to line up a group of athletes so we think can compete at this level.
Is there any idea now, maybe a clearer picture of where you're going to have Jalen play, whether it'll be offense?
Yeah, he's going to play on defense right now. Yeah, the thoughts. Hawkins will play defense, and we think at corner.
How much more are the running backs integrated into the offense now? What's kind of your review on Tony Franklin as running backs coach?
I think it's been a pretty seamless transition. I mean, it just makes a lot of sense. I think from talking to those backs, I think they really like the arrangement. They have a better idea of the big picture, and I think it's important for them to understand and see the big picture at that position. Whether it's protection, what's the quarterback looking at, whether it's understanding the timing of the routes and when to get out, and be a guy that we can dump the ball down to. And so when you sit down and you start looking at all of it, I think it's made a lot of sense. I think those guys like it. I think they're comfortable. I think the quarterbacks like having the running backs in there, and I think the running backs like being in there.
Jared had, I think, a stretch there where he had eight straight passes after he had 2 touchdown passes dropped in the end zone. What does he kind of? Is there like a switch that turns on in him after something like that?
Well, I think the good thing he's done is he's been pretty consistent. He's done what we wanted him to do. We kind of came in and we said, there's 2 or 3 things we want you to work on, and I think he's gotten better at those things. And a big part of it's just, getting on the same page with the running backs, and we want to reduce our number of sacks. The offensive line always gets credit, for pass protection, for when they block well, not giving up sacks, and gets blamed when they're getting sacked. But the quarterback's got so much to do with that as well. And is he getting rid of the ball? Is he getting the ball out when he needs to get out? And then his relationship with the running back's ability to, if his first 2 reads aren't open, dump it down to a back is pretty important too. So, I've been really pleased with him and his development and growth and just understanding of the offense. And he's starting to look like a guy that started for 2 years and going into his 3rd year, and somebody's got a pretty good command of what we're trying to do.
What do you expect out of the scrimmage on Saturday?
Well, just a bunch of guys competing. I think it's going to be the biggest thing. We'll see. I'm anxious to see, if the game setting affects people, because we are going to have some guys that haven't played much that are going to have to play a lot in the game Saturday.
For instance, who?
Well, Deron Brown and some people like that haven't logged a lot of experience. A couple of the young offensive linemen. Some of those young linebackers. They're going to get a lot of reps in the game, and Darius Allensworth as well, and really Darius White. I mean, Darius played about the second half of the year last year, but I'm anxious to see how those guys play in a game setting. And so, some guys will respond and play at a high level. Other guys will fade and not play at a high level, and I think it's important to figure that out right now.
Is there a unit you're more disappointed in than not?
Well, I wouldn't say so. I don't think I'm disappointed in anybody's performance. I was disappointed Steph had an injury, and wanted to walk out of spring feeling really solid at the safety position. And we feel like we have some guys that have a chance, but it's probably not as solidified as I'd like for it to be. But we know that, and we kind of expected that coming in. With Pyatt being out, and Tartable being out, and Steph being out, and just all the safeties, that have missed. I wish I felt a little more settled at that position, but and then the kicking situation. We hope to get a little bit more clarity with that. I feel good about it. I think we have some guys that are capable of getting the job done, but I don't have a lot of clarity on that position yet, and we'll see how that develops over the summer.
Adolphus is not here today. Is that because he's on the road with rugby?
Yeah, he's playing rugby. Yeah.
Considering what you guys do have at safety and kind of a limited amount of bodies, can that impact the offense at all when you guys are, because that's who you're playing against, really?
Yeah. I mean, sure it does. I mean, it's the quarterbacks are smart. They look up there and they find matchups, and so when they see favorable matchups, they're going to try to go with those matchups. And the guys have done a good job of doing that at times in the spring, and that's been our defense at times has played pretty well at 9 or 10 positions, but as a defense you got to play really good at all 11 positions. And there's been times where we haven't done that. There's been some matchups that haven't been favorable for the defense, and the quarterbacks again have done a good job taking advantage of those. So there'll be some. That's obviously factors into their decision-making process when they see a matchup that they like and the play call's right, and all of a sudden they're taking a shot and you're getting a big play. But that's part of what happens during spring ball.
Who's the player that you think has helped himself the most versus spring?
Brian Farley. I think came in as a question mark, and to me has rolled out of spring one of our better offensive linemen. So that's been a real positive. Vic and Wary, I think, has made a big push. We've talked about it a lot, but Darius White is a different player. And then just to see the young linebackers keep getting better. You talk about all those guys. Isaiah's much improved. Devontae's much improved, and Hamilton's much improved. And so all three of those guys are, where you want them to be. So they've all made a big move. I think Kyle Cragen, has really opened some eyes this spring as well. I think everybody's been excited about him. Looney's been about what we expected, so that's been good. So you can kind of go through and say, we feel good about a lot of guys, and then the receivers have been solid. I think those guys, we take them for granted, and Lasco just because they performed at a high level, but they've come out here day after day and have really been consistent.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Yeah.